not look like much, but this small spinning instrument is doing something so remarkable every second of the day. An anemometer is how we measure the wind, not just how fast it's blowing, but sometimes even its direction and behavior. The most common type you'll see is the cup anemometer, with 3 or 4 cups that spin as the wind pushes against them. The faster they spin, the stronger the wind. But technology has come a long way. Some modern anemometers are completely solid state, using ultrasonic sound waves to measure wind speed and direction with no moving parts at all. That means less maintenance and incredibly precise data. You'll also find propeller-style anemometers, which act a bit like a small fan, and even hot wire versions that measure how quickly heat is carried away by moving air, especially useful in research settings. Now here's something important. For official weather observations, these instruments are typically mounted at a standard height of 10 meters above the ground in open terrain. That consistency is key. It ensures wind measurements are accurate and comparable from one location to another. And that data, it's critical. From forecasting storms to tracking wildfire danger to even helping design wind farms, anemometers play a vital role behind the scenes. So the next time you see these cups spinning in the wind, just remember it's not just a measuring the breeze, it's capturing the atmosphere in motion.